Then I have my own personal account that's totally separate.
Right. You know what I found, and I want to go back to the staff room people on this one, and I know we're not hitting our agenda yet, but I think a few others will be joining us here shortly. I'm just finding in the last year, so Victoria, for the first year and a half to 2 years of my podcasting, I really protected my Facebook profile as like, this is my personal life. And what I've found is as I'm adding more and more teachers and educators, I'm like, you know what? If I've written something educational or if I've produced a vlog or a podcast, I'm getting a little braver about just sharing that right there on my Facebook feed. You guys too?
Yeah, we made that pivot.
Yeah.
Probably about a month ago. It was like, nah, I'm not gonna use Facebook, but then you get a few teachers follow you here, and then you follow a few more there, and then you realize that you follow more teachers than you follow softball folks. So you might as well post your podcast content more so than just your workout content. So yeah.
You know, what we found was we were actually getting a lot more attention when we posted our podcast material on our personal pages than if we were posting it on our podcast page.
Right.
And I think that it's because on Facebook, it's more of a, interpersonal relationship, and people want to get to know you as the person, not the brand. And so don't really know why it's working the way it is. That could be the reason, but we get a lot more attention on our podcast material when it's on our personal pages.
Yeah, that's kind of been my suspicion, Pav, is that like for a long time I was like, okay, my local friends here in Surrey and Vancouver, my family across the country, they don't want to see all my podcast stuff. They don't care about that. But you know what? People that love you and care about you actually sometimes are interested in what you're doing over here. So even though it's like an education article or something, they may be totally down for that. Dan, welcome to you, good sir. You are the StreamYard Pro, so I'm going to be leaning hard on you if I have any trouble here.
It looks like you're doing okay. Like I said, I think the biggest thing is making sure you are in first, and then look, you added all these other fine folks, fine edgy podcasters. How are you guys?
How's it going, Dan?
All right, everyone, let's do a really quick check-in. Maybe just hold up some fingers. How are you feeling today from 1 to 5? I'm going with a 4. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
4. All right. Pretty good. So I was hoping we could chat about a couple of things today. One being the return to school. And we've been chatting about that on Voxer. And Victoria, we're kind of in the same boat on that one. And then the other one is just, what are your next content creation goals, which I'm always interested in hearing as well. So, sort of where people are headed. I'll tell you guys, I just came out of about a week and a half where I felt like my time was not my own. We have a visitor on Twitter, Mrs. R. Towell, welcome. So I had one of those stretches. Tell me if you've had one of these stretches where like a cousin and his wife came to visit, and they thought they would be here for 3 days, and then that became 6 days. And, when you're hosting people at your house, how do you make content? How do you sit at your computer for hours and hours? So I feel like I've been out of the game, but...
Tim, sorry to cut you off. Do you know in StreamYard, talking about using StreamYard, you can actually pin or post those comments from the side there into the live stream?
That's right. Dan, thank you so much.
Because there she is. Big Teach Better team member.
Hi, Rebecca.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, I completely forgot about that. Yeah. So, so first questions first. Now, we don't have a great variety of representation here, actually, because we have Victoria and I are coming from one district, and of course, the staff room there in Toronto. Okay, we've got Eric joining us as well. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Good. How's everyone
doing? What's up, Doc?
Hi.
Hey, Doc.
We are all having a pretty good day here, Eric. Maybe I'll start with you, put you on the hot seat right away. Digging right away into the return to school. What are things looking like in your district?
Right now, we're on a hybrid schedule where we're supposed to be in there 5 days a week, but we're only doing a half day in person, and then we're doing a half day virtual. A through K will go one day, and then L through the rest of the alphabet will go the next day. And then it flips back and forth. And now they're saying that we're also going to be live streaming our in-class stuff. So potentially we need 1.5 lessons per class ready at any given moment. So.
I hate that. I hate that idea. I don't want to get into it too much. I hate the idea of at-home learners, distance learners. I don't like that it's synchronous in the sense that the at-home learner would be expected to be keeping up with what's happening live in the classroom. I really hate that idea.
I'm just going to go with the flow a little bit, and that's all that we really can do at this point. But I really anticipate probably everyone going remote before we actually start. So
we're also doing a hybrid here. Sorry, Tim.
No, go ahead, Dan.
We're also doing hybrid here in districts are different here, and I want to preface this by saying that I'm in Connecticut, and I'm in the New York metro area, or the tri-state area as they call it, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. And at one time in March and April, we were the epicenter for the pandemic, not even in this country, but globally. However, people doing the right things and following procedures and protocols, we've gotten the numbers down really low. So for the most part, schools and districts are ready to send students and staff back in person. But what that's going to look like varies across the district. So the district where I work, we're doing hybrid. And what I like about what our new superintendent has said is that they're going to place a priority first and foremost on K-5 students. So as many K-5 students as want to come back, or their families want them to come back, they're going to full time. Then basically everyone else would be in that hybrid model. And so, and Rebecca, it looks like that's what's happening too in New Jersey. Cool. Disservice to the remote. Oh, she's probably talking about the streaming thing. And so then in my district, students in grades 6 through 12 will be hybrid. And I think they're doing, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, thanks for joining, 3 days on, 2 days off, 1 week. And then the next week, it would be the opposite, 2 days on and 3 days off. Some districts I know are kind of closing down 1 day of the week, like a Wednesday, and deep cleaning and disinfecting. I haven't heard that to be the case with us yet, but it will be hybrid, at least for the secondary students. Where I live, they're sending everybody back. It's not hybrid. It's just everybody back full time, unless families want to opt students out.
Dan, talk for a second about why. I just want you to unpack that a little bit, because I know there's a lot there. Why does it not, and I'm with you, by the way, why does it not make sense for teachers to be doing in-class instruction and then streaming it at the same time for kids in the remote environment?
I have two reasons, and I want to preface this by saying that I hope you guys and anyone watching tunes in on Saturday to the first in a series that we're calling The Devil's Advocate on the Leader of Learning podcast. So it's a series within a show, because I do talk about this in greater detail, at greater length. Two reasons I don't like it. One, privacy. You can't guarantee necessarily who's on the other end watching. And if you're watching the teacher and the students live in the classroom, I think that presents a lot of privacy issues that I'm just not sure how you can really get around that easily. And the second reason why I don't like it is, technologically speaking, if a student is at home expected to hear and see what's happening in the classroom live, unless that teacher is in front of that computer and that camera with either a good microphone or something, I just don't think the students are really going to be able to see it and hear it very well.
But Dan, what happens if that teacher happens to have an external camera and an external microphone and can be used as a sit at the desk or walk to the board?
I still don't like it, especially for the privacy, but then I understand that school needs to look differently now, but I just don't know how many teachers are going to want to really sit at their desk And if you're talking about a microphone, it would have to be, I guess, wireless with enough of a range to move across the room. I don't know.
What if I had a 20-foot cord?
Okay, well, we can sort out the logistics later, but anyway, we spin that, it's going to be tricky. Staff Room Podcast, you guys are over there in Ontario. What are things looking like for you in terms of a return to school?
It's very similar to what Dan was explaining, but when you do the opt-out, or when you're talking about teaching with the live stream, in Toronto, we've talked about all these centrally assigned coaches, or when teachers no longer have a class to their a class for them to teach. The 6 kids that would opt out of my class, they don't become my responsibility. They become another teacher's responsibility. And so that's idea of like streaming really hasn't been a conversation. It's been a conversation of lots of our centrally assigned teachers, et cetera. They'll pick up sort of that slack when if kids opt out. At the moment, we're all going back face-to-face. Our high school's got sort of a hybrid model, but our K through 8 is all going back to school, and you can opt out, but ultimately we're going back with no restrictions except social distancing rules, etc. How you can play it out, because I can already do the math in my room and know I can't facilitate 1 meter of space in between any kid. And I think I worry about that. I can't imagine what my administration is worried about, or our custodians are worried about. I'm even thinking of the archaic desk in my school that they're all double desks. Like you'd have to solve them all in half. So it's daunting. Like I think it's daunting as a teacher. I can't imagine being an administrator and trying to make new schedules in the last minute, and being a custodian and having all kinds of new responsibilities. Like everyone is stretched thin trying to do things new and different. So I know we're going back face to face, but a part of me just thinks at some point there's going to be some eye-opening moment that days before school, it's not physically possible.
It's super interesting here, and I'll get Victoria to speak to it here in a moment. But we just got another update today. Victoria, I'm assuming you know about it?
Yeah, so early this afternoon, our Minister of Education said that we're not starting school on September 8th, as in all kids in the building or partly. We're going to have a couple days, or we don't know how many days, where staff will come to the schools, or maybe virtually, and we'll have some time to actually prep and maybe learn about health and safety. So that was just announced this afternoon. I don't know, Tim, did you get anything else out of that?
Some context for others is that Victoria and I are preparing for a full face-to-face. The only tweak on that is that here in British Columbia, they are going to be trying to group students in what they're calling learning groups or cohorts of 60 to 120 kids, depending on the grade level. Is that sustainable over the 10 months of the school year, that, like some kids in 8th grade will not mingle with other kids in 8th grade? I'm kind of skeptical, but honestly, I'm happy about the full face-to-face return. And I'm not surprised that, especially for the union teachers in this province, that they're giving them a few extra days to prepare.
So
yeah.
Another thing I was going to mention is, I have a daughter who's going into grade 9, and I have a son who's going into grade 6. And my daughter's at Walnut Grove Secondary School in Langley, British Columbia, Canada. It's one of the largest schools in the province. We've already received a letter saying that we have to purchase her a device or get her a device, and that they will be some sort of different model, because you can't have 2,200 kids in a high school all together at the same time. So there are some schools and some allocations where there will be some sort of blended learning model. But for me as a parent, I don't know what that looks like. I just know that I have to prepare, make sure I have a device for my daughter. So there's still a lot of questions. There's a lot of, I'm a public school teacher. So I know that our union here is trying to advocate for smaller class sizes, for more health and safety measures, for masks to be provided. So I guess we're still in limbo, and we're not quite sure. We do know that our public school districts have to have some sort of plan done by August. I think it's 26th. I don't know. I can't remember, Tim. I'm pretty sure it's the 26th. So we should be finding out in the next couple of weeks what that is. But a lot of us teachers are still waiting to find out what our classes will look like.
Thanks, Victoria. I see Pav is trying to get back in. So Pav, I don't know if you could see me here. I don't see you in my StreamYard control panel, but we'll try to get Pav back in here. Want to welcome Scott from California, and then do the full circle around to Jeff Bradbury as well. Scott, what are things looking like? I heard a little bit on education today. I was listening this morning. What is your return looking like?
Hey, first and foremost, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. And we are going full distance learning. We're back dealing with, just a heavy load on the system. So that's kind of tough. We're working through that. Our IT department is. So I recommend everybody test, their loads so you can prevent what happened to us. And, so far so good. I thought I'd get an onslaught of questions, and I'm definitely getting lots of questions, but not nearly as many as I anticipated. And I think that's because all summer long and in the spring we did PD. We really just knocked this out of the park. Not to say it's perfect, but I think we did as well as could be expected given the short time frame. We rolled out our 5-year plan in 6 to 8 weeks and then built on that a little bit.
All right. And thanks, Scott. That's amazing, actually, that your district has been preparing through the summer. That's not the picture here, I don't feel like. But Bradbury, your picture is very similar to Dan's. Anything to add?
Honestly, I didn't hear everything that he was saying because I came in a little bit after that. But Dan and I do work in the same school district. I haven't been paying attention to all the details. So I'm sure he's mentioned things I don't even know about. When you've got 6-year-olds going into one district and now you and your wife are working in a completely different one. Well, we're working in the same district, but I mean, we're different than the kids. I'm going to wait for the last thing that they're talking about, and I'm going to hang my hat on how to do that. I know from what I've been working on with the district, we're working on professional development. We're working on making sure teachers know how to use all the technology. They have the technology. I mean, and I'm talking about for the fact that over this next couple of days, I'm going to be making a video for all the teachers called, get this, how do you plug in a video camera to the side of your laptop? Because we're really going down to that level and how do you do that? I mean, physically, the video is going to be laptop, plug, right? So we've got a plan. And like all plans right now, everything is fluid. And what we're working on right now is plan FGH, just in case. I've heard from not only our district, but other districts of if for whatever reason we go out, you see that extra monitor on your desk, take it with you home, just in case. That way you've got an extra monitor. And, I've heard that from a couple different school districts. There's a lot of stuff going on. I know in our district, every teacher, I think, is getting a Chromebook or a laptop or something just to make sure that everyone's prepared no matter what's going on. So it's been a busy year, summertime for us here.
Yeah, I saw somebody tweet the other day, I think it was yesterday, that like normally, I think it was a principal who said he just likes to check out completely. And then this is the one summer where, for some people, they haven't been able to check out at all, which is really unfortunate. Let's shift gears into the fun stuff. We're all creatives. I'm so excited with StreamYard here. And thank you all for joining me on my maiden voyage. I'm going to come back to each one of you, give you a chance to introduce yourself and your podcast, and then tell us what you are working on. What's your next project? I like to ask this every month, but just tell us what's going on in your world. So let's start with Dan Kreiness.
All right. Well, first of all, my podcast is the Leader of Learning podcast. And basically, I've been dabbling with new equipment recently, including the backdrop behind me, and you can't see it, but a nice ring light in front of me for the lighting. And that was something that when we spoke last month or a couple months ago, not that I do a ton of video, I do more audio, but I just didn't really like the way that the room looked behind me mostly. And so I've been investing a little bit more in terms of just getting the setup here to look good. I always like to sound good, but I'd like to look a little better too. So that's where that's going. And then as far as the content, as I mentioned before, beginning this weekend, this Saturday, my co-host, now I have a co-host, we're doing a monthly series called Devil's Advocate, where we're going to tackle trending topics in education with sort of a catch. The catch is that we want to tackle them from multiple angles and really use sound research to support our claims and back up our thoughts and ideas. So that first episode will drop this Saturday. My co-host is Rochelle Danae Poth, who I guess can't join us tonight. That's a shame. But we did just record it the other day. That'll be out on Saturday. And the first topic, apropos, right, we're talking about school reopening. And so we did dig up some data and, we share our thoughts and feelings, but more so we share out there like some of the science behind why or why not it's a good idea to reopen and what the models should look like.
She is such a consummate professional, Dan. Congratulations on partnering with her. That's going to be some quality content for sure. Staff room, Chey, we're trying to get Pav back in here. I sent her an invite on Facebook Messenger, but tell us about your podcast and what you guys have going on.
Well, it's Chey and Pav in the Staff Room podcast. So we've been just continuing to do our weekly episodes. We've expanded in this whole new remote learning. It gave us a chance to expand on our radio program, The Drive, that was, this little 30-minute live show before school, which was kind of unique and fun, but how much content can you get in a 30-minute radio show? And then with remote learning, we expand, and then we went to an hour, and then we went to 2 hours. And now we're doing a 2.5-hour live radio show, and we've been having author visits every week. And we had Jesse Thistle come in and talk about his book last week, which was just a huge, score for us. If you know the Canadian scene, just such a powerful story about that Indigenous struggle. So we lucked into that. So it just provided that opportunity. But as we get ready to go back face to face, Pav and I are trying to figure out what do we do with The Drive now. We built it up to this wonderful 2.5-hour program. So now we're thinking, well, we'll split it back up into its original concept. Maybe we'll do an after school episode, but maybe we'll do like a Sunday night, The Drive, to get yourself ready for the work, because we've come to really enjoy that live platform. And it's just been really, podcasting is great, but like this, when you go live, there's a little bit of adrenaline. And so we've really enjoyed that format. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to bring that back into that. And then, Pav and I are switching schools this year. So we typically have been team teaching and teaching above each other. So the conversation is really raw and authentic, and it's real time. So we're trying to figure out how do we just change our content a little bit to really address the fact that Pav and I are now teaching at 2 different schools, and now we're not teaching the same grades, where our content was always our perceptions of the same thing, the same students, the same events. And now we're going into 2 different schools, and she's teaching a grade 1-2 split, and I have grade 8. So we're trying to figure out how do we change our content a little bit to sort of match the idea that we're now at 2 different schools rather than just 2 teachers sitting and talking in the staff room after school.
I hope, and I'm sure you guys are hoping as well, that the split will actually enrich your content, right? It gives you those added perspectives.
I think we did. I think lots of people have talked about obstacles, and you're sort of like, oh, what am I going to do now? And then and then you realize, wait a second, now we have just so much more things to look at. So Pav's going, we're not at a great school per se. Like if you know the index score in Toronto, it's a bottom school, like the bottom 60 or 75. Oh, there's Pav. But Pav's going down to one of the index score, one of the weaker schools in the school in the board, and she's really excited because it's also in her community where she was born and raised. She's excited to that opportunity, but then it gives us a little bit more perspective to talk about teaching, because teaching's not the same in the variety of different schools. You have different troubles, and there's always troubles and issues at every type of school, but we're going to have, like you said, different content because we're going to have different issues that we're dealing with. So excited about that. Like you said, once you get past the
Right. Well, I heard a great question on Twitter the other day, and that is, how does this situation serve me? Which is a little bit selfish, but it totally flips the paradigm, right? To make you really look for the positive. Pav, before I move on, we should go to you. Chey was just talking about, like, you guys are doing a lot of live content, loving it. As you look ahead at the next 10 to 11 months on the content side of things, what are your hopes and dreams for that period of time?
I don't know what Chey said, so I'm just going to say what's on my mind. Yeah, we're looking to continue with, the content. We are diving in a little bit more with the whole live thing. This is something that's a little bit new to us, so we'd like to explore that a little bit more. We're really loving the author talks and talking to other people about their content, and so trying to expand that in some way and develop something. Right now we're thinking about some bonus episodes or something like that, where we are talking to authors about some of the work, the content that they're putting out, and, other people expanding or amplifying their voices. So there's that. And I don't know, it's all new territory for us. So anything that sort of comes our way is very much, let's do it. Let's soak it in. Let's try something new. But for now, I think that the live thing is going to be something different for us. So we'll dabble with that a little bit. And I came in on Chey talking on the tail end there. I am moving to a new school, and so kind of seeing how that dynamic is going to work and see what perspectives I can bring in from the primary school point of view, to the elementary. So we have sort of this broad range from, grade 1 all the way up to grade 8. So we can sort of bring that in, and also a different school perspective, which is higher on the Learning Opportunity Index. I think it's number 10 on the index. So it's a very, very high need school, which is only 5 minutes from the school where Chey is at. So very interesting that we're in the same neighborhood, same family of schools, but the needs are so different. And so it'll bring a different perspective in for sure. And so we'll have some interesting things to talk about.
Thanks so much, Pav. Jeff Bradbury said in the private chat, it was great to see everyone. He's running off to do a Tech Coach virtual conference. Got to get that out. And he would like to organize one more of these before the summer is out. Yeah.
I did just want to add for everyone's sake and especially for you guys. So we had, I don't know if you saw, so up the Atlantic coast last week came a pretty bad tropical storm. Even here in Connecticut, we got hit with the tail end of it really bad. And Jeff and I live probably about 15 or 20 minutes away from each other now. And he was out of power for literally a week. He just got power back sometime yesterday or today. My power was in and out. We lost it for about 22 hours the other day, and then again for about 5 or 6 hours overnight the other night. So honestly, we've had to deal with a lot of storm cleanup here lately. But Jeff has been really working his tail off, and I know he just jumped off the call. He's been doing so much for our district right now, mostly behind the scenes. But it's been really cool to have him in the same district now, and to be able to kind of like we're starting to team up on things, but from a distance. Like we work at different schools and we're not necessarily doing the same things, but I think we're we're part of the same master plan. So it's pretty fun.
Dan, Jeff is a huge personality, as we all know. All of us here know him and love him from our Voxer thread. But is he pretty famous within the district? Like, is he making his presence felt already?
No, but not yet. But he will be, and here's why: because he's calculated. Right now, he's really gotten in with the actual director of technology, and we're in a really large school district here. Our district in Norwalk, Connecticut, is a city district, and we have 4 middle schools, 2 high schools, too many elementary schools to even count. And so he's been doing a lot of work this summer. We have a new superintendent who just started July 1. And he's been basically getting her to podcast and create content. He's been helping the director of technology with training teachers on Microsoft Teams. I think is going to become one of the big tech tools that our district goes to now for communication and collaboration. And he's been somewhat of a mastermind behind that movement in our district as well. So I don't think a lot of people know him yet, but they will. Believe me, they will.
He is so behind the Microsoft suite, and I know Victoria spent a lot of time there as well. I want to finish the round on the content, and then stick around if you can so that I can screen share and show you the amazing headliner automation options that you have at your disposal. So I think Dan maybe is using them already. I'm not sure who is all using them, but make sure I show you that. And I'm partly doing that just to sort of experiment with screen sharing here. But Victoria, are you and Tim full steam ahead with the science series?
Yeah. So I'm in between podcasts right now, right? Because a year and a half ago, I launched the Empathy Tales podcast, which was me doing some story sharing, educational storytelling. But I stopped that in last month. And then, of course, I started one called the COVID-19 Ed podcast for my grade 4 students when we went remote learning, and that ended in July. So a colleague of myself, Tim Stevenson, and myself are starting up a brand new podcast, actually called the Edu Podcaster Podcast. So, which is so much fun. And it's targeted to teachers and to students, so that these are curated educational episodes that any teacher, any student can use in their classroom. And yeah, it's going to be a whole bunch of good stuff in there. So our first series is on Save the Oceans. So we're kind of getting together our website right now. We're going to be in the next week, going through the whole podcast application piece. And by September, sometime in September, it will be launched. So stay tuned for more great stuff. And it was just one of those things. Tim is a science teacher. I'm going to be a middle school teacher this year, moving from elementary to middle. And so whatever stuff that we're going to be wrestling with our own students, whether virtually or in person, we're going to try to put some podcast episodes together and then have them kind of hit two birds with one stone sort of idea, right? So we'll use them for our classroom. He'll use them for his classroom. And then hopefully other people out in cyberspace out there somewhere in the world will also use these educational episodes to inspire kids to do great things. And we'll always have, each series will also have a challenge. So this first series is on Save the Oceans, and the end episode is challenging students to find something, do something, whether it's start a petition, whether it's just retweeting something or doing a TikTok, something that challenges other people to start saving the ocean. So yeah, we're really looking forward to this new podcast, and we're looking forward to partnering together. So stay tuned for more information on that in the next month or two.
I think that's so important, Victoria. And I know that content is going to get uses and listens for potentially years down the road too. That's just the power of asynchronous content. Scott, last one here in this round of questions. What is cooking for you? I took a peek at your education today. I think you took a bit of a break there on the pod, right? But you're back in action?
Yeah, so that one was super tricky just with COVID and all of the summer projects we had. I got burnt out just from work in general. And so I hit pause during June and most of July, and then really hit the ground running. So August has been a great month, better than ever with Education Today and the TNT EdTech podcast that I do with Matthew Ketchum. We're nearing our 50th episode, so super excited about that. We'll have a special surprise for that one, so stay tuned. And on the back end, I'm looking to get more into content creation, and I want to explore YouTube. So I was really encouraged by Alice Killer to jump on and get that going. In fact, she made me do it. So I got the Mr. Noons Teach website, and I'm just building content out for it right now. So no set timeline on that. I just want to build a wealth of resources before I launch it. And now with Education Today, we have our, 12th episode up. One more in the queue to pop up later this week. And those are going to keep rolling out. I have probably about 5 or 6 in the bank that I just need to finish editing and queue up in there. And what's unique about that one is I ideally want to release those in small batches. The idea is digging deeper in a theme. That's something that I really couldn't do with the TNT EdTech podcast. We just focused on something for like an hour and then moved on. But with this series, I'm able to go deep and really break it up. So I have hopes to get into podcasting and have you all on, or whoever's willing. I would love that. The next series I'm going to have on is a group of people, educators and non-educators alike, that have inspired me, and have them on the show. So I've started that next series. And then I also want to have a series on there called Hometown Heroes, which will focus on people's local heroes. So having on guests like you all, and you sharing out somebody that inspired you locally that maybe isn't getting recognition, and highlighting that individual. So I'm excited about that.
And Scott, I love that. And I think that's an opportunity really that we all have, right? Is to shine the spotlight on our people doing amazing work here in our own districts. So keep up the great work there. I really like the conversation, as I said this morning. You guys got deep into like 90s hardcore rap and stuff. So I wasn't following everything. But I don't know if you all know your 90s rap, but Scott does. And that was fun. Okay,
Yeah.
any more comments on the content creation, how that could be applied in the classroom before I share some headliner goodies with you guys?
Well, can I flip the script? Like I really appreciate, Tim, that you take on the hosting duties here every month. What about you though?
Oh,
That's great.
You know what? Thanks, Dan. Just getting back in my groove. Like, honestly, I started this year pretty idealistically. I guess we all do that, right? And I was thinking one interview episode a week, one blog post a week that I then read on my podcast, and then repurpose that blog on YouTube. And YouTube is the one that has really slipped the most. So I'm keeping my hopes reasonable, Dan, because my commute is getting longer and my duties are getting a little bigger. So I don't know if I'm going to have more time to get this back on track. But I've found, as I'm sure you all have, that summer isn't the wide open, nirvana of content creation that you think it might be, and for good reasons, right? We're spending time with family, but thank you for asking. Just getting back on track really is the short answer there. All right, so I'm going to try sharing my screen, and I want to show you guys what I'm doing with Headliner. I had a friend reach out from South Africa and ask about this, and I thought you guys might actually you might be interested in seeing what I'm doing. So, okay, screen sharing tips. Yeah, I don't need. Okay, I'm always nervous to click "Don't share this tip again" because I just think like, what if I forget this valuable information? But okay, so can you all see Headliner here? Okay. So I'm going to log in, and then I'll show you what this looks like. So this is and first of all, I'm going to jump back to, oh, wow, that's freaky. Okay, can't do that. I don't know how many of you are on Headliner or use Headliner. It is a small monthly subscription, but the magic is right here at Podcast Auto Videos. So I'm going to click on that, and I can type in any podcast. So let's go Staff Room Podcasts, and it always finds Teachers on Fire. I thought that would work. The Staff Room. Okay, the Staff Room with Chey and Pat. So it picks it up, and then you hit next, and then you have a couple of options here. Short videos or full-length videos. So I always select short videos. And can you guys read? Is that too small? There, that's going to be helpful. So do you see the options here? You can select once per episode. I've selected daily. Instagram stories of 15 seconds. You have these other options here. Twitter, 45 seconds. Instagram, 30. Facebook and TikTok, 60. So let's stick with Instagram stories. And then you can get it to auto caption as well. And then you choose your orientation, of course. And then you can choose these different templates. So you've probably seen this one from me. I've been using it a lot. And then what else do I want to? You can play with the waveform. Do whatever you want there. Move that around. And basically, by the end of it, do I need to zoom out a little bit more? Yeah, by the end of it, you've got it set up and you just start getting automatic videos. And then Headliner will send those to you every day. And then you can add as many automations as you want and just keep going through that process. So basically, we lost somebody, but we lost Pav, I guess. She had to go. But yeah, basically you get these amazing clips sent to you every day, and you can set up, from what I can tell, as many of them as you want, like Instagram stories of different kinds, Facebook clips, Twitter clips. And so it's really cut down. Like the big catch for me was always like, man, this takes so much time to sift through the audio and find the perfect clip. But each morning I just check my email, and if I like the sound of the clip, I'll throw it out on my Instagram stories. And it just gives people like that taste of the conversation, right? It might not be the most profound clip of all time, but just lets people know that it's out there. Okay, you guys are okay. All right. So thoughts, questions, any interest in that? Or would that work for you?
So is it free or paid, or how does this work? Or can you upgrade?
So Dan can help me out with this, because I know I think Dan, you're using Headliner. I've seen some waveform stuff from you. It's a freemium model, Victoria, just like a lot of this stuff is. And
yeah, I've used it.
So I am paying this.
I've used it a handful of times. I haven't paid for it. And I think, you know, just like any freemium, you don't get as many features. You don't get the full features when you're on the free version. But they do, you know, you can pull in. Okay, you could pull in the entire like episode audio and then find the clip that you're looking for. I found that to be, and my podcast episodes are typically not very much longer than about 25 minutes. But I still found it difficult to pull in the entire episode audio and just find like a 15 or 20-second clip. I would recommend trying to do that during your editing process and then just upload that shorter clip. But then once you have that, it is pretty easy, even in the free version, to kind of establish the layout like Tim was just showing you with the image and where you want the waveform. And there's a lot of customization that you can do even with the free one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Dan. So yeah, Victoria, I can't actually say, it's been so long since I've been on the free version. I don't know if you can get that automated option. Dan, if you're still on the free version, do you know can you do the short automated videos that get emailed to you daily?
You can. I'm pretty sure that I had that going for a while, but I don't know about you. I found it to be difficult though, because the audio clips were random to the point where it would be like in the middle of a sentence that my guest was talking, or actually it would be maybe something that I'd be saying, but I'd really want to highlight the guest and not me as the host. So that actually was the part that frustrated me the most about it. I don't know. I tended to not use the automatic ones. I just, like I said, I uploaded my own audio clip into it.
Right. And I should say too, for Victoria or any of you, if you're interested, you can, if you don't like the selection that it automatically generates, you can go in and do all of the editing and adjusting if you have the time. For me, I was just like, you know, a great person to speak to this actually is Sarah Johnson, who makes amazing little waveform clips on the regular, or she has in the past. And I know, John, we've talked about this in the Voxer thread. John, welcome. Thank you. I just realized now I probably didn't drop the StreamYard link in the Google Calendar event, so apologies there. But John from the Chromebook Classroom podcast, are you using the Headliner automated videos at all? Oh, I got to unmute you here. Sorry. There you go.
Thanks. Not automated. I do use Headliner on occasion for special clips, but I don't use the automated one through Libsyn has an integration, but I don't use.
Okay. Very cool. And John, we're kind of wrapping up here, but give us a quick check-in. How are you doing? What's up in your world? It looks like maybe you presented somewhere today.
Yeah, it's been it's been crazy. Everybody's doing back to school stuff. So I was on site at a school, only my second time in the last 4 months. So I had to put on real pants and find my shoes. Yeah, things are going well. Not having a whole lot of time to create content. I'm too busy, doing webinars, PD. My courses are just getting slammed right now, which is a great problem to have. But facilitating, I think right now I've got several hundred teachers taking my courses, so trying to manage that and answer everybody's questions and do that. So content will come in September.
I don't know how. I feel like you all are in Facebook groups. John, of course, has his own Facebook activity. Sorry, John, we're getting some feedback to your speaker. I'm just going to mute. John is also very active in another group that I think is called Teachers Using Google or Teachers Using Google Classroom. And so if you are working in the G Suite, make sure you connect with that. And I want to shout out Tech Teacher 1381. Dan, is there any way to tell which platform these comments are coming from when they light up on StreamYard?
Yeah, that's the Periscope logo right there. Under his profile picture.
Yeah.
So that's either.
So welcome.
It could be Periscope or it could be Twitter Live, which is basically the same thing, but it just depends on whether you're watching through the app or through Twitter.
Right. So this was a very fun intro to StreamYard, a little bit messy, but thank you all for bearing with me. Thank you all for joining me today. And okay, Tech Teacher 1381 is saying he is on Twitter. So welcome, one of our very few viewers. I did not promote this event whatsoever because
Rebecca
wasn't sure if it would even get off the ground.
Rebecca was on here earlier and also had the Periscope logo, so I'm going to assume that she was also watching through Twitter Live.
Yeah, if you pop open your Twitter app, you'll notice that anyone you follow, if they are live, they usually, and you guys can tell me if you see me there at the top, but they usually appear in the top left corner, just to let you know that somebody you follow is streaming live. So, most people don't open Twitter for that purpose, but it's kind of another fun option to raise visibility. And staff room, you guys are all over the live stuff. I mean, I remember John's critique, but pros and cons, I guess, in terms of the time you put into it. Actually, one pushback, I guess, John, is that, with this live stuff, you get to keep the content and it does stay on YouTube. So it's not like one time and done, right?
Yeah, for sure. I tend to think there's a big difference between live kind of unscripted content. When I do my YouTube videos, they're very planned and I try to keep them really tight because I have I have a point, I have a goal of that video and I try to, do that. When I'm standing up in front of an audience and delivering it, I get off task. Sometimes I tell stories and jokes and it's not quite as tight as a pre-recorded video.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Someone would have to be really patient to sit through all of this 50 minutes of content. Well, on that note, and thank you, Tech Teacher 1381, My EdTech Life. I don't think I'm subscribed to that podcast, so I'll have to check that out. Thanks for joining us for a few minutes here. And he also wants to add something about StreamYard here, has done some amazing things for my show. It's great to be real and genuine. Yeah. So pros and cons on the live content for sure. Final word, I'll just do a quick go around. Final word, any last thoughts, Chey?
Well, you should know to never go to me first. You should always go to Pav first because that's how we operate. What I could say is the live on that debate is the live sort of allowed us to start thinking about having additional content or extra content and realize that the live is really fun, but there's still something to have that afterlife with the live. So we got into sort of editing a little bit because we never really edited. And then we got into editing our live content so we could then push it out as extra content.
Cool. Yeah, take it to the next level. And Teach Better isn't here in this meeting, but they are really good at doing a live show and then having, or a Twitter chat, and then having a follow-up event in their Facebook group for people who want to hang out further. Dan, final thoughts? You can take this in any direction.
Actually, I wanted to go back to something that I think, Tim, you said in terms of reopening and returning to schools. Actually, no, it might have been Victoria. Somebody said something about like focusing on the positive. I forget who said it. I actually, just a few minutes before we got on here and went live, I got off the phone with my principal, and I told him something that is going to be a big focus of mine as an instructional coach going back to school. And that is, since we are in a hybrid model, and at most we're going to have 50% of our students, which means half of our class sizes that we would normally have in this new normal, I really think that this is a golden opportunity to finally, because when have we ever had this opportunity before, really focus on personalizing and individualizing learning. And so I guess my advice to anyone who might be watching this either live or catch it on the replay is, like we said before, find something positive in all of this. And for me, that's the opportunity to help my teachers focus on, hey, if you have maximum 12, 13, 14 students in a class, what better time than now to obviously do that blended learning that we know is going to be automatic, but through that, really get to know the ins and outs of each of your students and what they do well and what they don't, and try and work with both ends of the skill levels. So that's the first thing. And then, of course, please tune in to the first episode of the monthly series Devil's Advocate this Saturday with my co-host Rochelle Danae Poth, talking all about school reopening.
It's going to be an awesome show. Great idea, Dan. I hope you guys get heated at some point. That's my hope for the show, is that it actually,
one of the reasons why I wanted to do it like the way we're doing it with the data and the research is because I'm not typically a real confrontational, controversial kind of guy. And so I want to make sure that what I say is backed by something other than just what I'm thinking. But I said to her before we started recording, we've been friends for a while and I have a ton of respect for her. At some point we may disagree, and obviously to keep it respectful and that we'll still be friends when we stop recording and when we stop doing the podcast, whenever that is. But no, at some point maybe, yeah.
Well, I mean, as we tell our students, you got to learn to argue any position of an issue, regardless of your personal beliefs, right? Victoria, final word from you. Any thoughts?
We are in extraordinary times. I mean, this time, 2020, will be talked about decades, centuries from now. And I think that this is the time where content creators, whether you're a listener right now or you're part of this conversation, this is the time where we can start really spending time doing some content creation and doing what we really love to do. And so I think we can encourage that for our students too. Whether that's, their Taekwondo skills at home, or whether that's their artistic ability or TikToks or whatever it is, podcasting, right? And I just encourage all our listeners to find your tribe, right? We were always used to having that traditional academic classroom of 30 kids or 500 students in a school, and we may not necessarily have that this year. And so I just encourage everyone just to find their tribe and to find their way to create content and to dive into their hobbies and their passions and find meaning in that. And we as a group here have been lucky enough to find each other, to empower each other and encourage each other and inspire each other to continue to create. And so for anyone who's listening right now, I encourage you to find that group. And if you are listening and you're a podcaster and you need a group to join, reach out to one of us and connect, because I think that this is a powerful season of creation.
Wow, that gave me chills. Well said. Thank you, Victoria. I think we lost John, maybe, but Pav, final thoughts, final words?
I think she's having a few troubles.
That's right. I think she's frozen at the moment. Okay, hopefully
frozen
she'll
and no sound.
Scott,
she's been messaging me the last couple minutes.
Scott, last word from you. Any final thoughts from California?
Yeah, don't be afraid to try something new. Just like Tim's modeling for us, just get out there and do it. I did that with the podcast last year, and the rest is history. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't change a thing. Same goes for my Twitter journey. get out there, take chances, take risks, and, find your tribe too. Piggybacking off of what Victoria was talking about, it's so important, especially during this time where some of us might be experiencing fatigue. We might need to lean on others or be inspired by others. And, all of you in this group have inspired me, especially you, Tim, just consistently putting out content and being there when I need a question answered. You're there. If I need to chat, you're there. So, find somebody like Tim. Maybe it is Tim for you. Reach out to Tim at Teachers on Fire. But, sincerely, take those risks and find your people and watch just how fulfilled and joy-filled you become.
Yeah. No, I love the theme that is coming up about reaching out and finding the tribe, because, man, in whatever school or district or context we find ourselves, there are teachers who are fearful right now, who are discouraged, and they are not connected to a PLN. They don't have that source of inspiration that we have all come to know through Twitter and these other platforms. So just want to say a big thank you again to everyone. It looks like Pav is maybe unfrozen. Pav, have you got a last word for us, or is your sound going to work for you?
I don't think she can hear us.
Okay. All right. Well, Pav, it's great to see you, and we'll look forward to next month. Good luck, everyone. Take care. Stay safe, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.